It flooded with raw sewage. Now, of course, we were all rushing around in boots, trying to save anything we could as rapidly as possible, because water, filled with poop, was filling our 1,200 square foot basement. My mom was talking to 911 on the phone, one of my sisters was crying, and everyone else was splashing around in this poop water. And when it reached about a foot or so, my dad turned, looked over at me and said, "Well, cry." This proves that even in the darkest of times, when all of our memories and possessions were being destroyed, my father can maintain his wonderful sense of humor. This sense of humor is one of his greatest traits, and a few more include his knowledge of chivalry, which he is passing on to me, and his incredible knowledge of being a man. The first wonderful trait I would like to talk about is his chivalry, also known as being a gentleman. You know that cute moment when a 2 or 3 year old boy steps out in front of you, grabs the door, and opens it? Well, long ago that was me. My father has been drilling chivalry into me since I could walk. And boy, am I glad, because now, whenever I see a girl, I open the door for her, and then eventually 20 more people walk in. But I still keep it open. And I'm waiting for that wonderful moment when I get to put my jacket down in a puddle for a girl. Now, most people would think that's a crazy thought, and why would you ruin such an expensive jacket or a sweater? But I think it would be great just because my dad has raised me to be a gentleman. And after what I've said, you might think he's kind of a strict and serious man, but let me just reinstate. He is a very, very funny and has one of the most active senses of humor I've ever seen in my life. One thing I was shocked to hear was from a couple of nurses. They said that when my father, who was 50 years old, was getting a stent put in his heart, they said that he was laughing and telling jokes the entire time, because when he gets nervous, he just has to laugh. Now, if you picture this, there's this large 50-year-old grown man not in open heart surgery, but in heart surgery, wearing one of those nightgown things that has no back. And he's sitting there where the doctors are shoving a tube up his artery or something into his heart. He's sitting there telling one-line jokes and puns, trying to make everyone laugh and annoying the nurses. But in that moment, I learned that life is going to get tough. And at some point, when it does, the only way to bear it is to laugh at the little things. Unfortunately, there will come a dreaded moment when life knocks you off your feet and sends you to the ground with a thud. And ladies and gentlemen, because of my dad, I know to simply get back up, brush yourself off, look life in the eye, and whisper in its ear, "You hit like a girl," and walk away. The final, and possibly the most important thing my dad has taught to me, and is teaching me, is how to become a man. The area we've been focusing on lately is driving. Just last week, I was driving with him, going to pick up a pizza from Pizza Hut, which is just around the corner from our house. And I said, I signal now, right? And he simply replied, "Yep." So I put on my blinker, but I was actually looking at the wrong parking lot. So when my father yelled, "Stop, turn now," I did, but it was a little too late. I was going 20 miles an hour, so I slammed on the brakes and kind of turned, just avoiding a giant ice chunk in like right on the side where the snowplows pushed it. And I uttered a maybe not so pleasant word, but seeing how my dad is kind and just spectacular, he looked at me, and instead of yelling at me or being stern with me, he said in a very relaxed, informative tone, "Son, this is why it's called a learner's permit. Learning to drive, like growing up, is an adventure, and I absolutely love watching it." Sorry. And after that moment, I pulled into the parking lot, and he went inside, got the pizza, and I drove home. And he never mentioned it again. Because of that, I experienced that experience. I was assured my dad is always going to be there for me, whether it be learning how to drive, running a household, or once I'm married, if I can, show my kids what to do correct, or if I can't, just get our dumb printer to work. He will be there to help me and show me how to do it. And so to close my speech out, I would like to remind you that the three main things that make my father exuberantly fantastic are his unmatchable humor, his incredible knowledge of chivalry, and his complete and utter completeness at showing me how to become a man, the Smith Action. And finally, kids and adults out there in the audience, I just want to remind you not to be afraid to do what I'm about to do. You don't need to be embarrassed or giggle awkwardly or let silence set in, but just to kind of go for it. So Dad, in front of about 50, 100 people, I just wanted to say I love you and thank you.